Houston, we have a problem and everybody can see it, including the Texan staff. But the issue, no one believes they will fix it, Sarge.
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Texans fans and Battle Red Nation, welcome to the Locked On Texans podcast. I'm credential media member and Texans football analyst John Some Sports Guy Hickman, alongside Texans credentialed media member and the man with the big hat and the even bigger smile, Brian Big Stars Bearfield. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day. Thank you for being an every day of the show. You guys are a part of the Locked On Texans family and the Locked On Podcast Network family, your team every day. What are we talking about, man? What are we talking about? What does success for the Texans look like moving forward? And I think that's a very important conversation, seeing as though they haven't beat one of these plus 500 teams in a while, and they're going to run into a plus 500 team in the playoffs and down the stretch. Also taking advantage of the Cowboys' weakness. They can't stop a run to save their life
at all.
So Sarge made a good point. This could be the perfect game to get not Big Joe, but Joe Mixon back rolling. But we also have to look at listening to the trends of what has made them good and what has made them bad, and how it's time to make a change to get that good consistently. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Sarge, it's apparent that the Texans players, they've been speaking their feelings. Like we've heard John Mechie just say, I think it's just we come out strong, so we got to continue to do that. CJ Stroud has mentioned on several occasions about just pushing the pace throughout the game for 4 quarters and how important it is to establish that tempo. And we've seen how good this offense looks with the tempo. But you had an opportunity to talk with DeMeco Ryans, head coach DeMeco Ryans, and ask him about, hey, listen, what's going on with the play calling? Will we see a change? Will we see more hands-on approach from the entire offensive staff with the play calling? And this is what DeMeco Ryans had to say.
He'll adjust to you and sort of take it accordingly.
Any game plan, when you talk about adjustments, I think that's always a factor when you talk about scouting yourself, the self-scouts, and also scouting your opponents. So you're always looking at tendencies and things to change, things to add or do something a little different. But it's at the end of the day, you still have to execute whatever changes you make. But that's part of any game, is about, adjusting. Was out, he was the top receiver in the league. So I think anytime you get him back, it's going to help everybody.
I know it's just about how Bobby and how Frank are involved as far as the coaching staff is concerned and call the plays. Do you ever take any I don't want to say advice, but like Gerard, is Gerard involved in some of the play calling as well?
Yeah, when it comes to the game planning, all of our offensive coaches have input on plays, suggestions, all of those things. So every coach is suggesting whether it's run game, everybody has different phases of the game, different situations, 3rd down, 2-minute, whatever it may be. So all coaches have input on putting the game plan together, and they put it together, together. And, I have some input as well on things I've seen, of things I may suggest to Bobby as well when it comes to the game planning mode.
You mentioned before.
Sarge, I love that question. I think that question really puts pressure on everybody to figure this out. And also, like DeMeco response there, like, hey, we all are trying our hardest, and we got to take his word for it to figure this thing out. I think the trend that I'm looking to is the comfortability that Joe Mixon has brought to this team has somewhat handicapped the play calling. And I think the idea of what a successful offense for the Texans looked like in 2024 has extremely hurt the chances of this team being a legit offense. And I say that because per Next Gen Stats, the Houston Texans have the most rushing attempts on 2nd and 3rd and long, consisting of 7 or more yards, and they have the lowest amount of total EPA and the second worst, win probability. The Houston Texans did it 5 times in Sunday night game, resulting in 14 yards. This shows that the offense slows down when they move like that, when they make those decisions. And I think ultimately that leaves them playing for a field goal in a lot of these games, which we've seen them in the lead for the Packers game, for the Lions game, for the New York Jets game, 3 winnable games. We've seen them with the league, but how they go about calling these plays, how they go about sequencing these plays, how they go about this entire offensive coaching staff, how they go about trying to communicate what the best possible outcome can be hasn't been that for this offense. And we've seen them settle for field goals, or we've seen them, lose games because they're not able to put up points, especially touchdowns when it matters.
Yeah, the way I look at it, John, is so the Texans offense and special teams, they're kind of victim of their own success. Because the way that Joe Mixon has been running the ball this year, the way that he has been so successful, the way that he can keep plays alive, with the way that he looks for running lanes, the way that he cuts back, and with the ferocity that he runs with violently, he keeps a lot of things alive. And so you look at, if you're Bobby Slowick, you're probably looking at that and saying, well, even if the lane isn't there, even if the hole isn't there, Joe Mixon is going to make something happen. And his multiple 100-yard games, his scoring a touchdown, his being able to catch out the backfield, Bobby uses that sometimes as a crutch. Yeah. Also, on the special teams, Kaimi Fairbairn, they have fallen victim to his success. For as reliable as he is, and he's very reliable. I know he's missed some kicks this year. For as reliable and dependent as he is, it's almost like, okay, it doesn't matter. It's almost like they play. Are we in Kaimi's are we in Fairbairn's range yet? Are we in Emi's range yet? How many more yards we got to get before we can get in Emi's range? Yeah. Okay, we only need like 5 yards. Let's call a running play. Oh, we only need we need 7 yards. Let's call a running play. Hopefully it'll get us 4. And then I'm thinking about the Rockets. Kaimi can make up the difference. Instead of, hey, I know I got Joe Mixon, but if I get Tank going, we can get Tank. Right. We got Tank and we got Joe going. When you get Nico back, we got Nico and Joe and Tank going. Okay, so you got Mixon, Tank, and Nico going. Okay, so wait, hold on. So now we got Mixon going, we got Tank going. Hey, how can we incorporate Dalton Schultz? Okay, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Dalton ain't ready just yet. Hey, man, what about John Mechie? So they can never have, they haven't put together a complete offensive game plan where everybody is clicking and on the same page. Even if you take away, I'll put it like this, John, even if you take away the fact that Nico has been gone and Stephon Diggs got hurt, they still have the weapons to be able to not only move the ball, but to score touchdowns. But go ahead.
And I think that plays into why we see the Houston Texans with a plus 57 point differential in the first half, and then we see that margin drops to negative 59 in the second half of these games.
And you also got to look at it like this too, John. And I'm not trying to give the Houston Texans a pass. I mean, we see everything that's going on with them. We know that, and I mean the Houston Texans offense. I'm not trying to give the Houston Texans offense a pass. And what I'm about to say, I'm not trying to give the Houston Texans offensive line a pass. But I'm also one of those guys, John, because I report unbiasedly. I report what I see with my eyes. And like I told you the other day, sometimes it gets me in trouble. Sometimes it don't. I report with what I see with my eyes. Yes, John, I know that the Texans offensive line has been horrible this year. Right. The thing that they have been able to do is run block for Joe Mixon. And we know that he can make something out of nothing. On Sunday night against the Lions, the run blocking went down, but the pass protection went up. And so that's going to happen, though, when you have a player who hasn't played in that position in how long? I mean, yes, it's easy to say, let's move Juice from the center to the left guard position, but that's 2 totally different positions that he's playing now, 2 totally different responsibilities. And some people think you can just insert him right there and then everything is supposed to go. No, because now he's, instead of playing in between Kenyon and Shaq, now he's playing in between Jared Patterson, somebody that he only played 2 games with last year in the playoffs, and now you're playing with Laramie Tunsil. So now you're playing next to a tackle. The responsibilities come totally different, John. So yes, they got the pass protection, even though they gave up 4 sacks. They gave CJ a lot more time this time, but the run blocking suffered. So I look for that to pick up this week.
And that's a part of the trend. I mean, I also think we're going to see a much better effort simply because the Dallas Cowboys, they are allowing 150 yards on the ground and 170 in their last 3 games. So we should see the Houston Texans have a good game, and Joe Mixon bounce back. We'll talk about that and a little bit more of listening to the trends, because I also think opening up this offense allows them to put the ball in the end zone a little bit more. More Texans talk. You are not going to want to go anywhere. But first, ladies and gentlemen, all right, Texan fans, it's the perfect time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. The Texans take on the Dallas Cowboys Monday night, another primetime game. This will be an exciting matchup, a battle for the state of Texas. And FanDuel has all of the odds you need and that you're looking for, like an over-under currently set at 42.5 points with a plus 260 odds if you're feeling like it'll be a high-scoring game. Or if you're expecting the Texans to punch the Cowboys in the mouth first and strike first, lock in Houston to score the first touchdown at plus 160, a great value for a team that I think is hungry to start strong, right? We've seen them finish bad, but they have started strong lately in some of these games. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your team, if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. Also, Texans fans, if you're looking to continue to get in on the action this NFL season, and it don't have to be with the Houston Texans, it can be any of the NFL teams, Prize Picks is the place to be. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy sports simple and exciting. You just pick more or less on stat projections, and you can win up to 100 times your money. This week, keep an eye on CJ Stroud. Prize Picks has him at just 12.5 rushing yards. With his playmaking ability and with this up and down offensive line play, that could be a number he hits on at any point in the game. So you may want to take that. Or if you're watching the running back Joe Mixon, he had a very good game out of the backfield for the Houston Texans Sunday night. The line right now is at 17.5 receiving yards. So here's how it works. Just pick 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you'll pick whether they'll go more or less on their projections. It's that simple, and you can cash out big. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5 with code Locked On NFL. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Welcome back in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. I do want to mention this before we talk about the Dallas Cowboys, and that is, I think, an underlying byproduct of this team right now is teams know, hey, look, we'll find the Texans on long down situations. And that's where the Texans have been exploited all year, because teams know on 2nd and long and 3rd and long, we'll be able to kind of confuse their offensive line by sending a couple extra guys. And that has been an issue and theme and a trend all year. And so now I look at this team, they got to figure out how to fix that. We know that you guys have found yourselves running on 2nd and 3rd down long. That's been the case all year. But we also see the success of when you guys are able to get the ball out quicker and you guys are able to establish the offense by doing a couple of things. And that's not being as predictable on those early downs. On 3rd and 1 to 3 yards to go, 22 plays, 2 TDs, no sacks, 7 first downs. If we add 2nd and 3rd, same yards to go, 1 to 3 yards to go, 68 yards, 8 TDs, 46 first downs, no interceptions, 3 sacks. So you're seeing a better offense. You're seeing a better CJ Stroud. And you're seeing an offense that is able to get in those short yard situations. And I also think they are missing Brevin Jordan a little bit. some of these play action opportunities, him being out on the edge, that was a part of this offense that we haven't necessarily seen as much. And maybe that needs to happen more with Case Stover. But on those short yardage situations, when Houston hasn't been forced in second and third and long, they've been a much more impactful and effective offense. Now, Sarge, I think the overall thought right now is that ain't going to make no changes, which is unfortunate. We don't think that this team will make the change. But in this case, this is probably the perfect game for this running attack to get back going against the Cowboys defense that has allowed 150 yards on the ground and 170 in the last three games, excuse me.
Yeah, John, when I look at, and this isn't a secret. This is not a secret to most of the people who follow me on social media and who have been, following my guest appearances on this show, and even me becoming the co-host of this show. Away from being a credentialed media member covering the Houston Texans, I am a Dallas Cowboys fan. I've been a Dallas Cowboys fan since 1975. And so when I say that, I preface my statement by saying, I caught that. I preface my statement to say this. If anybody has watched more of the Cowboys than I have, then I tip my hat to you. If anybody's watched more of the Dallas Cowboys this year, now I haven't seen all the practices. There's people who've seen more practices, more OTAs, more training camps, things like that I don't have that I don't have the privilege to watch because I'm covering the Houston Texans. And so once again, I preface all that to say this. When I watch that Dallas Cowboys team, one, John, and I'm definitely going to save this for the crossover show, but one, the Dallas Cowboys is poorly coached from the head coach to the offensive coordinator, which is the same, to the defensive coordinator and Mike Zimmer, that I can't believe that they brought over. And to focus more on Mike Zimmer real quickly, the Dallas Cowboys have the 31st run defense in the league. John, there's only 32 teams. There's only 32 teams in the league. Dallas is 31st. They're giving up 152.1 yards a game.
Yeah.
Coming into this game, the Houston Texans, no matter who's on that line, if you're not able to get Joe Mixon should have no less than 130 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns rushing, and get another scoring touchdown as far as in the passing game. John, listen, hey, close your eyes. Now open them. Alvin Kamara for the New Orleans Saints just scored again on the Dallas Cowboys. The way that he destroyed the Dallas Cowboys in the first half, that's exactly what Joe Mixon should do. John, they're giving up 4.67 yards per rush. And like I said, they've given up 152.1 yards rushing per game. The Texans average 119. So if they're averaging 119 rushing, then Joe Mixon should eat all day. This should be the bounce back game for the Texans offense, and especially the run game, because the one thing about the Dallas Cowboys defense, they have a lot of fast and athletic players. Listen, we all know what Micah Parsons can do. And now that they've gotten Overshown back after he went down with injury. I'm talking about the linebacker out of UT who went down with the injury last year in training camp. Now that they got him back and him flying around, you got those two, and they move around they fly around, John, but they're light. They're light. And what has happened, even when Micah Parsons has been on the field, he is a disruptive force, but he's light. Overshown is light. This is where you need Titus to be Titus Howard. Like, I want to see the return of Titus Howard this week. I want to see Shaq Mason put his body weight and use his body weight against his opponent. I want to see Juice get violent. John, to me, Juice seems like you remember when you played football when you were younger. There was that one player that didn't play well unless he was crying or he was mad, and the coaches that made him mad. Then next thing you know, you like, man, who is this guy? That's what needs to happen to Juice, and Laramie needs to show us he is that Pro Bowl tackle. So I say all that to say this, John. If the Houston Texans can't run the ball on a Mike Zimmer led defense, if they can't get this rushing game going with the way Joe Mixon run, and you're getting Nico Collins back, John, if they can't get that going, then they're going to have an issue, because there's no way that this team, and I'm talking about the Houston Texans, shouldn't have. Listen, what did I say? Mixon should have 130 yards rushing, right? They should
At
end the
least.
game with at least 180. And that's like 25 from Dare and like another 25 from CJ.
And I'm gonna add this to it. I think this will, to your point, being a perfect game to get that running game going. Hopefully, Houston doesn't find themselves in those long yardage situations where they've struggled with throughout the year. And I look at that Dallas Cowboys defensive front, that front seven. They play a lot of bit undisciplined.
Yes.
Will find themselves trying to spin and make a play, but now that lane is open.
Yep.
And so those guys will make Juice's job a little bit easier. Patterson's job at center easier. They'll be undisciplined and they'll get themselves out of a position. And all you have to do as a lineman, just kind of fall on them a little bit,
Take advantage of it.
Put that belly on them and bump them out the way. So hopefully we'll see, instead of it being 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8, we'll see a 2nd and 4, 2nd and 3. And I think that's probably where the comfort level for Bobby Sloyd, I think he feels more comfortable. I think his play calling and his playbook opens up for himself. And I think he gets like a huge breath of sigh. He's a relief. Okay, man, now I can do some things because he's seeing the field a little bit clearer now that the measure of success, where I got to get to, is a little bit shorter compared to being a mile away.
John, and I don't mean to cut you off, but let me say this right quick too. One of the reasons why I feel like the Houston Texans offense can get going and that running game can get going is because Trayvon Diggs is going to have to focus on Nico. He's going to have to be solely focused on Nico because Nico is the number one wide receiver. The other defensive back, Carson's. I think if I opened up my front door right now, I think I still see him trailing one of the Philadelphia Eagles wide receivers. And now you got to have him try to deal with Tank. Donovan Wilson, who plays safety, John, he gets so fooled on everything. Dalton Schultz should eat this week. And so I preface my statement once again by saying you can't use Diggs in the run game because he's got Nico. You can't use Carson because he's going to be focused on Tank. And Donovan Wilson, who comes down and run support. And if he does come down and run support, then you should be eating all the field that he's going to leave behind. So I don't think that the Dallas Cowboys can lend and offer the run support to that front seven because they got to be worried about too many other things.
And to your point, listen, we just saw a well-designed play beat the Detroit Lions. CJ didn't deliver the ball on time.
Yep.
And so that area of the field is open. Now, if you get a safety that's going to bite down as hard as Wilson will, then you got the receivers in both Tank Dell, Nico Collins coming back, and I think everybody's giving a little bit more faith in John Mechie. You have receivers that can get in those zones, find them, and just kill them.
Yep.
So I think this is a perfect game for Joe Mixon. This is a perfect game for the offensive line, perfect game for Bobby Sloyd, perfect game for CJ Stroud to rebound himself and to really get some momentum going right before they got to take on a couple of big dogs. Now, we got to look at what the success look like for the Houston Texans as, they get past Dallas. You got a division game, but then you got to take on, to close out the year. You got to take on a very good defense in Tennessee, Kansas City, who's undefeated right now, and Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, who's looking like a 3-time MVP. So we'll talk about that to close out today's show. Texan fans, remember our great partners, Ultimate Pro Football GM. Well, they are back, and they've added an amazing new game mode I need to tell you guys about. The game that has you step into the shoes of a football franchise general manager and lead it to glory now has the new head coach career mode. So on top of being able to build your dynasty by drafting players, signing free agents, and hiring coaches, you now also get a chance to call offensive plays during the games as well. Additionally, you'll dig the new tools where you can work with training camp, upgrade negotiation systems. So not only is this game fun, it's realistic as well, and it just got a whole lot better. If you already have it installed on your phone, be sure to do an update so you can try out all of the new modes. And if you don't have it yet, download it now. It's a must-have for all football fans I loved the game when I played it. I got it back on my phone. We're getting back active with it right now. Ultimate Pro Football GM is completely free. No ads, 100% playable offline. Play on the go as you want, when you want to. And here's a special offer for our Locked On fans. Use promo code Locked On NFL, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your franchise. Make sure you get it, as this perk will jumpstart your play and give you the advantage you want in creating a dynasty. Download the game by visiting ultimate-gm.com. That's ultimate-gm.com. Or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate Football GM. Start your dynasty today. Welcome back, Locked On listeners and viewers. Before we close out today's show, Sarge, Dallas Cowboys, we can mark as a win. We've marked other games as wins. Houston has let us down in some of those games. the Jets, and they've let themselves down in games where they were already up and thought they were going to close out. But for success in this team, for that to go hand in hand, like I don't know if we believe this is a Super Bowl team anymore. They could make a run, but what does success look like for this team moving forward? Is it just kind of killing some of those issues that they've had through 10 weeks? Is it blocking out the outside noise and putting together a complete game? What does success look like?
Well, John, first I look at it like this. They got 3 games, 3 winnable games coming up against the Dallas Cowboys, the Tennessee Titans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, right? They should win all 3 of those games. And if they win all 3 of those games and they get on a winning streak, John, they should celebrate that. Because just like D'Amico says all the time, just like CJ says all the time, winning in the NFL is hard. And so my thing is, John, and I know that this is going to probably ruffle some feathers of people that's listening and going to view this show. Hey, John, look, when Roger Goodell makes the schedule, right? He doesn't say, okay, by week 10, right? By week 10, moving forward for the next 7 weeks, right? The next 7 to 8 weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to put the teams that are under 500 over here and let them play each other. And then we're going to put the teams that's over 500 and let them play each other.
That's not what he does. He don't do that.
No, they don't do that, John. They build out the schedule years in advance. And you play who's on your schedule. So I don't care that the Dallas Cowboys are under 500. I don't care that the Tennessee Titans are under 500. And I don't care that the Jacksonville Jaguars are under 500. I don't care that the Dallas Cowboys don't have their quarterback. I don't care that the Jacksonville Jaguars don't have their quarterback. The Texans can only play who's on their schedule. And these under 500 teams are on their schedule. And you know what they should do? Take advantage of them. Average at least 30 points on offense, because if you can get this offense going, John, and beat these 3 teams, look, I'm not looking for a 52-14 win like the Detroit Lions had over the Titans, because the Titans have a really good defense. But I would like to see a 30, like a 30-12, or 30-15, or something like that. John, with the next 3 games that they're playing, the next winnable games, you know what that does? Now you're coming out. You're going to be 9-4 heading into Miami, a team you should beat, right?
Miami is a very winnable game.
So now what are you? Now you're 10-4. If you could split either the Kansas City game or the Baltimore game, and then that last game, you got the Titans again, John, what you've done is it is not too late to save this season. And what I mean by save this season, and you asked me about success, it is not too late for them to get going. Last year, before they got on the roll, after 10 games, they were 6-4, John. So they're exactly where they were last year, and they went on a run. Take these next 3 games against what we see as lesser opponents on paper and record-wise, and build that confidence, and then you roll into Kansas City with that offense going and that second half offense going. And now, so that's what success is, John. Take care of these 3 games convincingly. Don't ugly win them.
Sarge, I love it. And you got me hyped a little bit. I think the next 3 games, I got to look at the umbrella of what success looks like. The next 3 games, win those games, create separation within your division. Make sure you don't pull a Jacksonville Jaguar from last year.
Exactly.
where you allow the coach to kind of sneak up if they get going, right? I also think success for this team, and they hear it inside and outside. You guys have been putrid. That's your word.
Yeah.
In those second halves, score some damn touchdowns.
Yes.
Score some touchdowns in the second half. And more so, have a complete game. When was the last time we saw the Houston Texans have a complete game? The New England Patriots. That was another team under 500. So the next 3 games, you're playing teams under 500. Greats, whether it's in basketball, football, boxing, whenever you get an opportunity to tune yourself up before you got to take on some of these Goliaths, you take care of those underdogs. We're not going to let you be no story.
Yeah.
Like for the Detroit Lions coming into the game, the Texans were the story. They were the under. So you can't allow the Dallas Cowboys to make it close. That got to be a winnable game. You got to make sure, and we already know the beef between Nashville and Houston and Oilers and Texans, and this is our franchise, the colors, the whole nine. Hey, man, shut them up.
Yeah.
Shut them up, because what you need to do is by the time you take on those big dogs in Kansas City and Jacksonville, I mean, not Jacksonville, in Baltimore, you feel more complete about yourself.
Yeah.
You feel more confident about yourself as a team. And a lot of the times lately, we've heard them say, well, we still feel good. We got the guys in our locker room. We've heard every cliche possible. But the fact remain is what you're saying in the locker room, what you're saying in the press conferences hasn't been translated to the field. So everything needs to finally translate to the field in order for not only the fans, but for yourselves to see, oh, we can put up 2 TDs in the second half. Oh, we can continue the tempo that we created in the first half. Oh, we can have a perfect game where we see CJ throw for 250 and 2 TDs, and Joe Mixon in their running game is getting involved. That's what success looks like for the Houston Texans. By no means are they really counted out for making a deep playoff run. I think the fate isn't there anymore, specifically due to the Green Bay Packers game and this Detroit Lions game. Those are 2 teams that's at the top of the league in terms of, at the time that they played them, in terms of the better teams in the league. So get yourselves together, check yourself in-house before you go outside. Do what you got to do and be ready for Kansas City and Baltimore, because those are going to be the games we really judge you off of.
Real quickly, John, and for me, the last thing, in order for the Texans to be successful, you gotta let CJ cook. You gotta let CJ. Hey, look, you gotta let CJ cook, and him cooking may mean Bobby can't be in the kitchen. Maybe Gerard got to be in the kitchen.
You know, good cooks don't like nobody in the kitchen with them. They don't know what they're doing. My Aunt Tina, rest her soul, I love to eat, but I wasn't in her kitchen. I came in when everything was prepped and ready to go. And I do think that's a good point. I do think for CJ Stroud right now, D'Amico said they're all involved.
Yes.
Maybe that's a problem. Maybe it needs to be a one-on-one. Hey, listen, let's go about this game plan. What do you want to do against some of these teams and these defenses? Because we got to trust you. And I think this year, I'm not going to say there hasn't been trust there. I don't think that there's been more trust than what it should be compared to what we saw him do in his rookie year.
Put Bobby in the booth and keep Gerard on the sideline.
Thank you guys for watching today's episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12 and follow the Locked On Texans page at Locked On Texans.
And you can follow me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Big Star Sports with a Z at the end.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace.